So if you're looking to step up your options selling game, basically if you want to move beyond just selling credit spreads and iron condors, covered calls, and things like that, then perhaps you should consider selling naked options, which is basically just selling a call or selling a put option, but having no corresponding stock position paired with it, at least initially. And this is basically what my entire option trading strategy is based around. I pretty much only sell naked options because, as I'll discuss in this video, there are a lot of advantages to doing this. Now, also that being said, however, if your broker even allows you to do this kind of thing, you will very likely need to apply for special approval to basically upgrade your options level permissions to enable these kinds of strategies. And so in this video here, I'll be showing you exactly how you should fill out the application for TD Ameritrade or ThinkOrSwim basically to give yourself the best chance of approval to start selling naked options if you want to. Now, as always, before we dive in here, in case you are brand new to the channel, my name is Scott Reese, and I'm here to help you learn how to trade, invest, and master your finances so you can apply that knowledge in the real world and multiply your money. And in case you want to see more trading or investing content after watching this video, you can also find me on SKILLSHARE as well, where you can take my very in-depth classes on options trading or stock market investing. And I provided some links to some of the introductory courses of mine in the description of this video below. So be sure to check them out. And when you sign up for SKILLSHARE using any of those links, you'll get a full 1-month free trial. Okay, so first off in this video, I do want to briefly discuss those advantages that comes with selling naked options and then also the risks that are involved. So that way you are fully informed before you make that decision to potentially send in the application. So starting off first with the main advantages that comes with selling naked options. Number one, when you sell a naked call or a naked put, you will collect a much higher credit than if you were to sell, for example, a credit spread. And of course, that's because you're not paying any money for a long option to define your risk as with a credit spread. And so therefore, because you are collecting a higher credit on average, that means for your winning trades, your profits will be much, much larger. So basically, bigger profits is the first main advantage that comes with selling naked calls and naked puts. And then number two, also because you are collecting a higher credit, that also means you will have a much higher probability of profit on all the trades that you're making. And that's because with a larger credit collected, you can use that credit if need be to offset bigger and bigger losses. And then also you'll be able to sell those options much further away from the current stock price, which in itself does carry a much higher chance of profit too. So bigger profits on average and also higher probabilities of profits as well. Number three, when you sell naked options, you will have 100% full Greek exposure, specifically to delta, theta, and vega. And this basically means your positions will have the greatest sensitivity to a move in the stock price or simply the passage of time or a change in implied volatility. Whereas compared with credit spreads or iron condors or covered calls, the long option part of the spread or the long stock part of the covered call, those things will serve to reduce your Greek exposure. And so essentially the effect here is when you do have delta, theta, and vega working in your favor for any naked positions you have on, that means you're going to have very, very quick profits. But of course, on the flip side, that means you could also face some very quick losses as well. So essentially, the speed at which you're going to either make or lose money is going to be increased for selling naked options. Number four, with these kinds of strategies, making adjustments is a lot easier. So for example, let's say you sell a naked put option and you currently find yourself in a losing position. Well, you can simply roll that contract out in time and collect more premium. And you can simply do that again and again and again, collect more and more credit to eventually offset your losses. And also simply extend the duration of the trade to hopefully wait for the stock to move back in your favor. And again, comparing this to credit spreads or iron condors, if your spread is in the money, you will not be able to roll those contracts out in time for additional credit. You'll actually have to do it for a debit. So again, this is one of the main advantages that comes with selling naked options. Number five, when you sell a naked option, the initial buying power effect, or basically the initial amount of capital you have to put up, is going to be a lot smaller than selling a covered option. Right, so for example, when you sell a covered call option, which basically requires you to first purchase 100 shares of stock and then sell a call option, well, that 100 shares of stock is going to require a lot of capital. But when you just sell a naked call option with no stock position, again, the initial buying power effect is going to be a lot smaller. But do also keep in mind, however, that the initial buying power effect for a naked option will increase if the stock does move against your position in a big way. And then finally, the last main advantage that comes with selling naked options is the commissions are a lot smaller as well. And that's simply because you are dealing with fewer contracts. right? So when you just sell a call or a put and then you eventually buy those contracts back for either a profit or a loss, that's only 2 transactions. Whereas with a credit spread or an iron condor, there's going to be a lot more transactions or a lot more contracts. So therefore, that's going to be more in commissions. Okay, so with that being said, now what are the major risks that come with selling naked options? I've already touched on a few of them, like expanding buying power effect if the trade moves against you, or greater price sensitivity, which means quicker profits or quicker losses. But the main risk that comes with these kinds of strategies is you do have what's technically referred to as undefined risk, which basically means that theoretically speaking, you do face unlimited loss potential with these kinds of strategies. Now, I'm sure that sounds pretty scary, and you're probably thinking, why the heck would anybody do this? Well, it's only if you do nothing to defend your trades. It's only in those situations where, yes, you do face theoretically infinite loss potential. So that's why if you are going to sell naked options, it's extremely crucial to make sure you have solid trading defense. Right? For example, if you sell a naked call option and then the stock increases in price and therefore moves against your position, well, at some point you can simply buy the contract back and cut your losses. You don't have to just stick with the position all the way to the expiration date and see your losses get bigger and bigger and bigger. Or a different defense strategy that I personally use is you can convert the initially naked option into a covered option. So again, with that example, if I sell initially a naked call option and then the stock increases in price, well, at some point, I can buy 100 shares of the stock and convert the naked call option into a covered call option. And if you want to see more about how that works, then you can check out any of my live option trading videos. So basically, the bottom line here is, as long as you have some solid defense for your naked option positions, then you will never actually face theoretically infinite loss potential. All right, so at this point, if you have decided you want to go ahead and send in the application to TD Ameritrade for requesting approval to sell naked options, then in a moment here, I'm going to show you exactly how to fill out that application to give yourself the best chance of approval. But there are a few things you should know beforehand. Number one is you do need a margin account with TD Ameritrade with at least $5,000, although I personally would recommend more than that, perhaps at least $10,000. Number two, and this one is not mandatory, but it certainly helps your chance of approval, is it's a good idea to have some trading history with TD Ameritrade before sending in the application. Right, basically, if you can prove to TD Ameritrade that you are a competent trader, that you're making consistent trades and managing them properly, then that is certainly going to help your chances of approval. But again, not required, although keep that one in mind. And then finally, the main thing, the most important thing that TD Ameritrade will look at to either approve or deny your application is, can you demonstrate through the application and through your investor profile that you have a very good understanding with what you're asking for with selling naked options, and that you actually want that risk that comes with those strategies. And so now at this point, we're going to jump over to my computer here. And like I said, I'll be showing you exactly how to fill out the application and your investor profile so that TD Ameritrade is convinced that you should be approved for selling naked options. So let's get started. All right, so what I'm showing you here is the My Profile page of the TD Ameritrade website. And the way you navigate to this page is simply through this top bar up here. Just go to Client Services, and then under My Profile, click General. And that will bring you right to this page here. Now, if you take a look at the table on the right-hand side, you will see all the various financial products that you are enabled to start trading. So in my case, for example, I pretty much only trade options and stocks. So at least for the time being, I don't care about trading futures. So I currently have that disabled. Same thing with Forex and so on and so forth. Now, in regards to options trading, which you can see right there, as you can see, my current level is advanced. So this is the top tier that TD Ameritrade does offer. And this is the one that you're going to want to apply for if you want to sell naked options. So whatever options trading level you currently have with TD Ameritrade, it will show up right here. But if you want to apply for an upgrade, you will see an apply button right next to it. So again, because I currently have the highest level, I don't see that apply button for me. But in the case for futures, for example, if I did want to enable that for my trading account, then I can apply for it. And so that is the first thing I wanted to show you on TD Ameritrade's website here. How do you simply go about applying for an upgrade for your options trading permissions? Now, before you apply, however, this is the most important thing that you should do first, and that is to update your investor profile. Right? Because as I mentioned earlier in this video, the most important thing that TD Ameritrade will look at to either approve your application or deny it is, can you demonstrate an understanding of the risks involved with selling naked options, and do you actually want that risk? And the way you show that is through updating your investor profile. And so as you can see on the left-hand side here, there are basically two main pages for your investor profile. There's basically the account level information and then the more personal information. So you'll want to make sure you click on both tabs here and fill out both pages. So starting off first with the general account information, let's take a look at the first one here, investment goals. And the first question is about your primary investment objective, which is basically the main financial result you desire for this account. Now, as I've also explained in this video, selling naked options is definitely one of the more risky ways to trade options, so you should be comfortable with that added risk. And of course, with greater risk comes greater potential reward. So that's why you should indicate that you are looking for very aggressive growth, right? Because if you instead put something like you want to be more conservative, then TD Ameritrade is going to look at that and see a mismatch. Right? If you indicate here that you're looking to be a more conservative trader, then selling naked options is not a good fit for that. So TD Ameritrade will likely deny your application. And so basically here, you're going to see a very common theme with the answers to these questions. Essentially, anywhere you can to indicate that you are looking for aggressive growth, high risk, and you're comfortable with that, those are the kinds of answers you want to put for your investor profile here. So then same thing for my secondary investment objective. Again, looking for aggressive growth. Then the next question has to do with your risk tolerance, right? Because obviously different investments and strategies involve different degrees of risk. And like I said, selling naked options carries some of the highest risk possible in the world of options trading. So that's why, again, here for my answer, I put I'm looking to be very speculative, or that I have a very high risk tolerance. And then for the next question, your liquidity needs, which basically indicates how soon, if you ever would need to possibly liquidate your entire account and turn it into cash and pull that money from your TD Ameritrade account. Now for me personally, this account here that I have with TD Ameritrade, this is my trading account. I don't expect to liquidate a huge portion of it or the whole thing in case of emergencies because I have a separate savings account for those kinds of needs. So that's why my liquidity needs for this account is basically non-existent. So that's why I put more than 1 year. Right? I don't expect anywhere in the next year or beyond that to possibly liquidate my entire account. Sure, I might pull some money out of it every now and then, but liquidating a huge portion of it or the whole thing, I don't ever expect to do that. And then the final question for this more general section is your time horizon, which is basically the expected number of months, years, or decades you plan to invest and achieve a particular financial goal. And again, for me personally, I intend to trade and invest my whole life, so that's why I put 13 years or more. I don't imagine that these two questions are a big factor, if at all, in getting your application approved or denied. But I would imagine that showing TD Ameritrade here that you don't expect to liquidate your entire account anytime soon, and that you also intend to be a more long-term consistent trader or investor, those two things definitely can't hurt you. And then coming down here to the actual options section, it's very short. So the first question is, what are your investment objectives for specifically trading options? And again, I'm looking for speculation. You probably also could put growth here as well, but definitely not conservation of capital, and probably not income either, right? Again, make sure to indicate anywhere that you can that you are a more aggressive trader or investor and you are comfortable with higher risk. And then for the next question, which types of investments have you made in the past? I've traded options, of course, and stocks. I don't really ever intend to trade bonds, but if you want to do that too, you can definitely put that. And then finally down here with the last question, what type of options activity do you plan to conduct? And so this one here is where you have to indicate that you're looking for the highest level of options approval with TD Ameritrade. And again, that one is Tier 3 Advanced. And so that covers the account level investor profile. Now let's go back up to the top here and go to the more personal one. Now actually, I have not filled everything out here. The top section is mostly about general stuff like stocks, bonds, options, basically how much experience you have trading these different things. So I would say definitely still fill this stuff out, but obviously it was not required for me when I submitted this application a long time ago. But that being said, if you come down to the very bottom, there is an options section. So definitely make sure to fill this one out. And so for my investment experience, I put 3 to 5 years because that's a fact for me. And so just to be on the safer side, I would definitely put at least 1 to 2 years. Right? Because if you show TD Ameritrade that you do have some years of experience, and to be honest, if you do actually want to sell naked options, this should not be the first thing that you do in the trading world. You should have some prior experience before doing this stuff. But that being said, you definitely still want to show TD Ameritrade that you do have some knowledge and experience beforehand when applying for this upgrade. And then lastly, down here with your investment knowledge, I put extensive. And again, that's simply an honest answer from me because I have been studying and trading options for quite some time now, all the way back to my time in college where I first learned about this stuff. So again, same kind of thing here. Indicate to TD Ameritrade that you do have some good and extensive knowledge when it comes to options trading. And so at this point, once you have your investor profile filled out with answers that will show TD Ameritrade that you're a more aggressive investor, you're looking for higher risk strategies, and you have some good experience and knowledge about options trading, now at this point, you are ready to apply. And again, all you have to do that is come back up to the top here and then go to Client Services and General. And then over on the right-hand side here next to Options Trading, you will see an Apply button. So click that button and then just fill out every aspect of the form. And I do believe, if memory serves here, that when I did this a long time ago, at some point in the application, you'll be asked to fill out your investor profile. So just doing that ahead of time is a good thing because that is the most important aspect of getting approved for this upgrade. Now, unfortunately, I cannot actually show you the online form that you'll have to fill out because I've already done that. But if I do come over to this tab, I did find an actual hard copy of the form. So basically for this one here, if you wanted to, print this one out, fill it out by hand and mail it in, you could apply that way as well. And I will also provide a link to this form in the description of this video below. But the point here is the reason why I'm showing you this is because, again, you'll have to answer basically the exact same kind of information if you were to do this fully online with the website. So as you can see here, basically first up, there is some general account information. So things like what your name is, date of birth, social security, things like that, employment status, etc. Scrolling down here a bit, you'll have to also indicate your income and your approximate net worth. For these kinds of questions, I do not believe it's a factor in getting approved or denied for an options level upgrade. So do try to be honest when answering these questions. And then moving on, if you have an account co-owner, you'll have to fill that stuff out. So nothing more to say here on that. Let's move on. Then there's the affiliation section. Make sure to read that. And if it applies to you, then of course answer the questions in accordance. And then finally, coming down to investment objectives, this was the main thing I wanted to show you. So again, as you can see here, it's basically asking you the exact same questions that you've already filled out in your investor profile on TD Ameritrade's website. So again, I'm looking to be a more speculative trader, aggressive growth, etc., etc. Then coming down to margin privileges. As I said earlier in this video, you will need a margin account to sell naked options. So make sure if you are filling out this application to indicate that you want a margin account. And definitely do be careful with these kinds of questions because for this one here, it says check this box if you want to decline margin privileges. So again, if you do not currently have a margin account but wanted to enable that through this application process, make sure to read these kinds of questions very carefully. So in this case here, you would actually not check this box at all, right? Because if you do not check this box, your account will be opened as a margin account if it qualifies. So to qualify for both margin and then selling naked options, you must deposit at least $5,000. And then after that, there's a few more sections about the control person, etc., any beneficial owners. And I believe that's pretty much it, coming down to the very, very bottom now. Actually, one more to go here with your options account. Again, indicate you want Tier 3 advanced for your option level. And again, take note that margin is required for either of these two levels, Tier 2 or Tier 3. But again, Tier 3 is what you want. And then after that, there's basically a few more questions that come right from the investor profile again, your years of experience, investment knowledge, same exact thing. So let's go to the very bottom here. Lastly is your actual agreement, so sign date and all that stuff. So regardless of how you want to go about submitting this application, whether you want to do it by hand like this and mail it in, or do it online, which is what I'd recommend, either way, I still wanted to show you this so you can see the full amount of questions and information that you'll have to answer and provide. But again, the most important aspect of this whole application process is making sure that for those investor profile questions that you fill them out the right way. Right? Again, make sure to indicate that you are a more aggressive investor, you have a high risk tolerance, you're looking for aggressive growth, things like that. Don't give TD Ameritrade any reason to think that you have a lack of understanding with what you're asking for here, or that your investment goals and objectives don't align with strategies that involve selling naked options. And when you do submit this application, you should hear back very soon. I heard back within 24 hours. And if for some reason you do get denied, you can reapply for this exact same upgrade every 60 days. And then also, if you do get denied, I would call TD Ameritrade and ask to see if they can provide you with any information as to why specifically your application got denied. And so with that being said, that's going to conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know your thoughts or if you have questions in the comment section below. And don't forget, if you want to take some very in-depth classes on options trading or stock market investing, then check out my SKILLSHARE courses. Links in the description of this video. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I drop new videos every single week, and you don't want to miss out. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.